I was going to write this as a post for TikTok, but I think you'll see why I decided not to. It's not that I didn't want to, it's just a little bit more complicated than my trembling hands can handle. They think of themselves as masters of voodoo psychology, these Eno people. They have something called Onopol or something like that, or Opal Records. Then they had this woman named Shan Ono Powell was her email address. It's in my records. And they knifed Shannon Harps. Now, why did they do that? Well, they're in their psychology. They say that when Peter Scapo sings, "I think I lost my hold," it's sacred symbol of divine property. So what they did, Chris Cook wanted to break into his neighbor's house while she was out of town. It was obviously her idea to get the kids to do this. And we took some green stamps. So Shanono, um, the Green Party decided, how did they figure that again? Um, it made sense. It made sense to their minds to sharps. There's something about green stamps. Was there a Shannon Green in the story somewhere? Well, the post office sent me this bag, this box big enough for my bagel knife, and then the next day they rip and murdered Shan Harpson. One of the NAACP people in the post office was howling. They they knew they were going to give me Parkinson's, but see, the reason they chose Opal was because my my grandfather's really good friends. He summoned the courage to send me a letter. And because Midori Goto was cursing every penny that came my way, I didn't dare open it. In fact, they got me to send, virtually forced me because of the way they were creating a feedback system to send the shit of God to my grandmother when she was in elderly care at Aldersgate Village. Diamond Gaulis, because they were claiming that Diamond Gaulis represented the victims, but if you look at her resume, you'll see that she was actually working with Will Zell and was in on the attack. So they remember Monty Python. If she weighs the same as a duck, she's made out of wood and therefore is a witch. That's the sort of style that's at work in Seattle Spinner Beanie magazines. They hate, therefore they are just. Yeah, and it's relatively easy to get hate whipped up when Sean Lennon whispers Abdul in your ear and points at the white. And they trace it back to the Pussyball game that was designed in the script of Gail Burson, the one night stand with the Indian woman who seduced me, which was her right under international law. She tells me her roommate was a convenience marriage to get them into the States. So I broke it off with her. I didn't want to be involved with a married woman. So, and this was Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Pittsburgh social anthropology program. If you remove the idea that there's something dangerously evil about a one night stand, they have nothing. Because all of those girls threw themselves at me. They were into the deaf toy that was the walrus, because they all obviously knew what was going on, were being paid. They will attack prostitutes. My grandfather once said I had a harem. Yeah. The idea of it is inculcated in all of these people's psyches. I believe there was a Shannon Green, is what the story was, somewhere in all of that. But Paul Shannon was in, what they do is connect things because uh, they kept it in blackout. They coded it in black. They put a C in a Star of David. That's how you can see that they are murdering people over a penny. That was their symbol, a C and a Star of David. Because Jordan Prescott thinks that anybody who has sins sexually should be subject to the um, plague of Amalek. And this is what's coming out of the Ripper Hat box. And far from being adversaries of these cranks, Yoko Ono is one of their primary spin doctors. Miles Kirshner was working with Nosferatu and kicking me in the head with David Geffen. You can see that because they're going Mount Desert Island with Lisa Cassidy, and then they have Lisa Ann Miles. L.A.M., Lennon and McCartney, right? And she plays a Sicilian violinist, Nice Siciliani Vespers. And these people think that they've tapped into the Tinkerbell of Venus, or the Tinkerbell of Saturn, or the Tinkerbell of Jupiter. And they're spellbinding for the particle accelerators to go off. It's creepy weirdness from Stephen King and Pentagon Disney and the Dalai Lama. When I was in Dilworth School in the 4th grade, they had everybody hold hands, one after another, while he gripped an electrical current. And somebody touched the metal table, and they all got this big shock, Widemaker had me put my finger in a light socket once. I got a real zap. And Lou Brecker said he'd never respect me again because I said it didn't kill me. I didn't think it would. So they were putting me in the light socket when they hammered me into the shack. And this is what they were doing it for. It's to have this nutty symposium where all of these Jewish high-minded types come and say, well, he needs to cross the bridge of forgiveness in return for forgiveness. Well, guess what, these stupid people? Pay me for my work and injuries. How hard is that to do? They say they claim to represent the veterans, but they forced Little Boy to apologize to Tojo's emissary. That's representing the Veterans Administration, forcing the child of a distinguished service veteran to apologize to Japan. They say they represent the unions, slaving somebody and refusing to pay them for their hard work and injuries is unionism. They say they represent the low and downtrodden. Castrating a deaf man who lives in a tent is advocacy for the homeless. They say they represent Clint Eastwood Hollywood, who won't have anything but the truth represented about who? Huey Long? Who? JFK? Who? Lee Harvey Oswald? Who? Me? Hollywood represent the truth? Pay me for my work and injuries. How hard is that? You have no dignity. You have no deserving celebrity. You have no justification for your self-representation if you're not going to pay somebody for the working industry. And they're threatening to assassinate me for wanting to come home to my beautiful girlfriend's tits. I mean, what's the matter with these idiots? Is it that they're truly enchanted with the ingenuity of a psychopath? That they would even entertain these things for a second, much less march an Armageddon machine about it?